One member of the Full House cast is buried at Mount Sinai Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, California. His headstone reads, "He brought people together and made them laugh." He was 65 years old and still making people laugh the night before he died. Of the 8 remaining cast members, 1 served time in federal prison, 1 was diagnosed with 2 unrelated cancers in the span of 13 months, and 2 became billionaires in an industry that has nothing to do with acting. The house is no longer full. Before we go through the full cast, tell me in the comments, which member of this cast do you think had the hardest time after the show ended? Drop your guess now and see if you were right by the end. Number 1 on this list is Andrea Barber, who was 11 years old when she joined Full House as Kimmy Gibbler in the show's 3rd episode in 1987. Kimmy was DJ Tanner's loyal, socially oblivious best friend and next-door neighbor. The comedic foil who absorbed insults from every member of the Tanner household while never once losing her confidence. The industry typecast Barber so thoroughly into the quirky sidekick role that she recognized there was no path forward for her beyond the character she had already played. Rather than spending years fighting the Kimmy Gibbler Association, she walked away from Hollywood entirely in 1995 at the age of 19 and did not act professionally for over 2 decades. After leaving the industry, Barber earned a Bachelor of Arts in English from Whittier College in 1999 and a Master of Arts in Women's Studies from the University of York in England. The woman who played television's most academically challenged character earned a graduate degree from a British university. She returned for the Netflix sequel Fuller House from 2016 to 2020 and has since appeared on the Nickelodeon series That Girl Lay from 2021 to 2024. Barber is 49 years old and appeared on American Idol's 90s Night in April 2026. She married Jeremy Ritke in 2002, and they have 2 children together. The couple divorced in 2014. Barber has spoken publicly about experiencing anxiety and depression and has used her platform to advocate for mental health awareness. She lives in the Whittier, California area, where she once worked as an assistant in the college's Office of International Programs, building a life defined by what she chose, rather than what the industry chose for her. Coming in at number 2, Candace Cameron was 11 years old when she was cast as Donna Jo DJ Tanner, the eldest of 3 daughters and the responsible one who navigated adolescence in a household of 3 father figures. Her entire adolescence was spent on a multi-camera soundstage, and when Full House ended in 1995, the industry had no immediate use for a 19-year-old known exclusively as a sitcom teenager. Cameron stepped away from acting for nearly a decade, a gap that reflected the industry's failure to build pathways for child performers aging out of their roles. During those years away from the screen, she focused on raising her family and building a life that had nothing to do with sound stages or table reads. She returned through Hallmark Channel's holiday movie pipeline, eventually starring in over 24 films for the network and anchoring the 18-film Aurora Teagarden movie series for Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. In April 2022, she left Hallmark to become Chief Content Officer of Great American Media, a move that gave her creative control over the kind of programming she would star in rather than waiting for network notes to decide it for her. Her Full House co-star Dave Coulier introduced her to Russian NHL hockey player Valeri Bure at a charity hockey game. After the wedding in 1996, Valeri sent Coulier an autographed hockey stick with the inscription, "Dear Dave, thank you for Candace." Cameron Bure is 50 years old as of April 2026 and continues to produce and star in films for Great American Family, including a 3rd installment in the Home Sweet Christmas franchise announced for 2026. She has been married to Valeri Bure for nearly 30 years. Their daughter Natasha Bure, born in 1998, has followed her mother into acting. Their sons Lev and Maxim were born in 2000 and 2002. She lives in the Los Angeles area. The next cast member on this list has had the most consistently visible career of anyone who stepped inside that San Francisco house. Number 3 is John Stamos, who was 24 years old when he took on the role of Jesse Katsopoulos, the Elvis-obsessed motorcycle-riding brother-in-law who moved in to help raise his 3 nieces and slowly transformed from a self-described bad boy into a husband and father. Before Full House in 1986, Stamos was cast as a player for Saturday Night Live. Shortly before the season began, He was let go because producers determined he was too similar to another cast member, Dana Carvey. That same year, his future co-star, Dave Coulier, was also dropped from the same SNL cast. The rejection pushed both men toward the sitcom that would define their careers. Stamos stayed steady after the show, moving from Full House to Broadway, where he appeared in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, Cabaret, and Nine, to a starring role on ER as Dr. Tony Gates from 2005 to 2009, then back to the family that started it all as executive producer and recurring star of Fuller House from 2016 to 2020. His short-lived Fox sitcom Grandfathered was canceled after one season in 2016, despite strong reviews. A reminder that even the most consistently employed member of this cast could not escape the gravitational pull of Uncle Jesse. He holds an ownership stake in the Full House franchise and was the driving force behind the creation of the Netflix sequel, personally reassembling the cast. The man who played the reluctant uncle became the person who kept the family together off-screen. Stamos is 62 years old and was cast in the second season of Apple TV's Palm Royale in 2025. He published his memoir, If You Would Have Told Me, in 2023, in which he addressed his struggles with alcohol following a DUI charge in 2015 that led him to enter treatment. He was previously married to actress Rebecca Romijn from 1998 to 2005. He married actress Caitlin McHugh on February 3, 2018. Their son Billy, named after Stamos's late father, was born on April 10, 2018. Stamos told People, "I always wanted to be a dad. Clearly, I had to do some work on myself first." He lives in Beverly Hills, California. Number 4 brings us to the two cast members who were put to work before they could walk. Mary-Kate Olsen and Ashley Olsen were cast in the role of Michelle Tanner at 6 months old and began filming at 9 months. The show premiered on September 22, 1987, when the twins were 15 months old. Michelle was the wide-eyed baby who grew into the family's scene-stealing center, a character built entirely around the natural charisma of two infants who did not choose to be on television. The production deliberately concealed their identities, jointly crediting them as Mary-Kate Ashley Olsen from seasons 2 through 7 so audiences would not realize the role was played by twins. Their combined salary started at $2,400 per episode and rose to $80,000 per episode by the final season. The Olsen twins became the most commercially successful child actors of the 1990s, but that success was built on work that began before their first birthday. Both women retired from acting permanently in 2012. When Fuller House was announced in 2015, both declined to return, and their absence was written into the show as a joke about Michelle living in New York as a fashion designer. If you are watching each of these stories unfold and want to see how this channel covers every cast from the shows you grew up with, subscribing is the simplest way to make sure you do not miss one. The Olsen twins' career trajectory represents the most dramatic reinvention of any Full House cast member. They have not acted since 2004. In 2006, they co-founded The Row, a luxury fashion label based in New York City. In 2024, Chanel owners Alain and Gerard Wertheimer and L'Oréal heiress Françoise Bettencourt-Meyers bought minority stakes in the brand, valuing it at approximately $1 billion. The twins won the American Accessory Designer of the Year award at the 2025 CFDA Fashion Awards. They are both 39 years old. Mary-Kate was married to Olivier Sarkozy from 2015 until their divorce in 2021. Ashley welcomed a son named Otto with artist Louis Eisner in 2023. Their combined net worth is estimated at $500 million, making them the wealthiest members of the Full House cast by a factor of 10, and the two who left the industry that built their fortune. They live in New York City, where they operate the Row's headquarters in Tribeca. The tone of this list is about to change. The next cast member's story involves a federal courtroom and a prison sentence. Number 5 is Lori Loughlin, who joined Full House in Season 2 in 1988 at the age of 24, originally hired for a 6-episode arc as Rebecca Donaldson, Danny Tanner's co-host on the fictional morning show Wake Up San Francisco. Producers expanded her role, and she became a series regular the following season. Becky was the grounded, practical woman who married Jesse Katsopoulos and became the household's voice of reason. In March 2019, Loughlin and her husband Massimo Giannulli were indicted as part of Operation Varsity Blues for paying $500,000 in bribes to get their two daughters admitted to the University of Southern California as fake crew recruits. The Hallmark Channel terminated all productions with her within days, and Netflix removed her from Fuller House, writing her character out of the final season. Loughlin built a steady career in Hallmark Channel films and series after Full House, then lost nearly everything professionally when the scandal broke. She pleaded guilty in May 2020 to one count of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud, and was sentenced to 2 months in federal prison, a $150,000 fine, and 150 hours of community service. She served her sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California, from October 30th to December 28, 2020. After her release, she paid more than $500,000 to put 2 unidentified students through 4 years of college, an amount matching the sum she had originally paid in bribes. Loughlin is 61 years old and returned to acting in 2021. She appeared on Curb Your Enthusiasm in 2024, parodying herself, and stars as Lieutenant Bishop in the Prime Video series On Call in 2025. She was previously married to investment banker Michael R. Burns. She married Giannulli in 1997. In October 2025, the couple separated after nearly 28 years of marriage. Their daughters Isabella Rose and Olivia Jade were central to the admissions scandal. Loughlin lives in the Los Angeles area. Number 6 is Jodie Sweetin, and her story begins before Full House ever aired. Born on January 19, 1982 in Los Angeles, both of Sweetin's biological parents were incarcerated at the time of her birth. She was adopted at 9 months old by her uncle Sam Sweetin and his wife Janice. She was discouraged from publicly discussing her adoption out of concern that people would assume she had been forced into acting. Sweetin was 5 years old when she was cast as Stephanie Tanner, the sassy middle child known for the catchphrase, "How rude," the daughter who craved attention in a household where the baby got the laughs and the oldest got the responsibility. When Full House ended in 1995, Sweetin was 13. The industry had no path forward for her, and she has stated publicly that the abrupt loss of structure, identity, and daily routine after the show contributed to her starting to experiment with alcohol at age 14. That experimentation became a 15-year battle with substance abuse, including addiction to methamphetamine, which she documented in her 2009 memoir, Unsweetened. She largely disappeared from the industry for over a decade, then reappeared for Fuller House from 2016 to 2020, and has since worked steadily in television films. She achieved sobriety in December 2008, worked as a clinical logistics coordinator at a drug rehabilitation center, and became a public advocate for addiction recovery. Sweetin is 44 years old. She has been married 4 times, to Sean Holgan from 2002 to 2006, to Cody Herpin from 2007 to 2010, to Morty Coyle from 2012 to 2016, and to clinical social worker Mescal Wasilewski since July 30th, 2022. Wasilewski specializes in addiction treatment. Sweetin has 2 daughters, Zoe, born in 2008 with Herpin, and Beatrix, born in 2010 with Coyle. She has spoken publicly about how motherhood reshaped her priorities and strengthened her commitment to sobriety. She lives in Los Angeles, California. The next entry on this list involves a man who was diagnosed with 2 unrelated cancers within 13 months and announced his remission from both on World Cancer Day. Number 7 is Dave Coulier, who was 28 when he began playing Joey Gladstone, Danny Tanner's childhood best friend who moved into the San Francisco house armed with nothing but impressions, cartoon voices, and the catchphrase, "Cut it out." In 1986, 1 year before Full House, Coulier was cast as a player for Saturday Night Live. The same season Stamos was also brought on. Shortly before taping began, Coulier was let go because producers determined he was too similar to Dana Carvey. The man who made his living doing impressions was told he was replaceable by someone who did the same thing better. Coulier never disappeared after Full House, but he never got bigger either. He worked continuously in stand-up comedy, voice acting on shows like The Real Ghostbusters and Muppet Babies, and hosting America's Funniest People from 1990 to 1994. He returned for Fuller House from 2016 to 2020, When Coulier lost his hair during chemotherapy in 2024, his co-star Stamos flew to Michigan and showed up wearing a bald cap. Coulier said on Good Morning America in February 2026 that he dropped to the floor laughing. Stamos then contracted COVID while staying at the house, and the two communicated from separate rooms by walkie-talkie. Like two fifth graders sitting in the hallway, Coulier told the anchor. In October 2024, Coulier was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin lymphoma, an aggressive B-cell malignancy affecting the lymphatic system, after noticing golf ball-sized swollen lymph nodes during an upper respiratory infection. He completed 6 cycles of chemotherapy by approximately March 2025. In December 2025, during a routine follow-up PET scan, a new and unrelated cancer was discovered. P16-positive oropharyngeal squamous cell carcinoma at the base of his tongue. He underwent 35 radiation treatments through December 31, 2025. On February 4, 2026, World Cancer Day, Coulier announced on Good Morning America that he was in remission from both cancers. He is 66 years old. He was previously married to Jane Modian from 1990 to 1992, and they have a son, Luke, born in 1990. Luke's son, Coulier's first grandchild, was born on March 27, 2025. Coulier married photographer Melissa Bring on July 2, 2014, in Montana. He lives in Michigan, where he grew up in St. Clair Shores. Number 8 is the man whose death the title of this video describes. Bob Saget was born Robert Lane Saget on May 17, 1956 in Philadelphia. He was the producer's first choice for the role of Danny Tanner, but he was unavailable for the pilot because of his commitment to CBS's The Morning program. Another actor, John Posey, filmed the unaired pilot. When the morning program was canceled, Saget replaced Posey, and the original pilot was never broadcast. He was 31 years old when Full House premiered. Danny Tanner was the widowed father and obsessive clean freak who hosted Wake Up San Francisco, the man who held the house together by making sure every surface in it was spotless. The industry trapped Saget inside the cleanest image in television. For 8 years on Full House and 8 simultaneous years hosting America's Funniest Home Videos from 1989 to 1997, the network marketed him as the safest man on television. His actual comedic identity was profane, dark, and confrontational, a stand-up act that bore no resemblance to Danny Tanner. He spent decades trying to close the gap between the public image the industry built for him and the performer he actually was. His 2014 memoir, Dirty Daddy, was a direct response to the typecasting. His 2014 comedy album, That's What I'm Talking About, was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album, an album that could not have been more different from the character the industry forced him to play. Saget stayed working for his entire career. He voiced the narrator on How I Met Your Mother for its full 9-season run from 2005 to 2014, returned for 15 episodes of Fuller House, and was actively touring stand-up at the time of his death. He was a longtime board member of the Scleroderma Research Foundation. His sister Gay Saget was diagnosed with scleroderma at 43 and died from the disease at 47. After his death, the foundation received donations from more than 1,500 donors worldwide, totaling over $90,000, and a board member donated $1.5 million in a matching grant in his memory. On January 9, 2022, Saget was found dead in his hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton Orlando at the age of 65. He had performed a stand-up show in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, the previous evening. The Orange County Medical Examiner, Dr. Joshua D. Stephanie, ruled the cause of death as accidental blunt head trauma resulting from an unwitnessed backward fall. The autopsy documented posterior scalp abrasion, subgaleal hemorrhage, a linear fracture of the base of the skull, comminuted fractures of the roofs of the orbits, subdural hematoma, subarachnoid hemorrhage, and contusions. His family released a statement. He accidentally hit the back of his head on something, thought nothing of it, and went to sleep. No drugs or alcohol were involved. He was married to Sherry Kramer from 1982 to 1997. They had 3 daughters, Aubrey, born in 1987, Laura Melanie, born in 1989, and Jennifer Bell, born in 1992. He married television presenter Kelly Rizzo on October 28, 2018. They were married at the time of his death. Bob Saget is buried at Mount Sinai Memorial Park Cemetery in Hollywood Hills, Los Angeles County, California. The last time the full surviving cast of Full House was in the same room was January 14, 2022, 5 days after Saget's death. The service and burial were held at Mount Sinai Memorial Park, and the reception took place at the home of Jeff Franklin, the man who created the show. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen attended. Candace Cameron Bure attended. Jodie Sweetin attended. John Stamos attended. Dave Coulier attended. Loughlin attended. Andrea Barber attended. 8 people who had spent 8 years pretending to be a family stood in a room together because the 9th was gone. Saget was the glue. Cameron Bure wrote that in her public tribute, "You were the glue." Of the original cast, one is buried 15 minutes from the soundstage where they filmed. 7 are still here. Coulier is 66 and in remission from 2 cancers. Sweetin is 44 and sober. Stamos is 62 and still performing. The Olsen twins are 39 and running a billion-dollar company in an industry that has nothing to do with the one that raised them. The house at 1882, Girard Street in San Francisco, where the exterior was filmed, still stands. The people who made it famous are scattered across 2 coasts. One of them is under a headstone that reads, "He brought people together and made them laugh. A very great man."